The bass thumped like a heartbeat gone rogue, shaking the gym floor beneath my sneakers as the crowd's roar drowned out everything but the raw pulse of the music. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not really. Freshman orientation was for the extroverts, the ones who thrived on chaos. But my roommate had shoved a red Solo cup into my hand and dragged me into the fray, whispering, "Loosen up, Alex, or you'll fossilize before midterms." Then the circle formed, bodies parting like the Red Sea for some street dance showdown. And that's when he exploded into the space, all lean muscle and unapologetic fire, flipping through the air like gravity was just a suggestion, landing with a smirk that hit me harder than the drop in the track. His eyes locked on mine mid-spin, challenging, electric, and before I could blink, he was pointing right at me, the kid from suburban Ohio who'd never broken a sweat outside gym class. "You, fresh meat, show us what you got," the crowd chanted, a tidal wave of "dance, dance," crashing over me, and in that split second, with my heart slamming against my ribs, I stepped forward, not because I could dance, but because saying no felt like admitting defeat to the whole damn university. The freshman welcome bash at Easton University was everything I'd imagined and dreaded. A sprawling concrete jungle of a campus in upstate New York, where autumn leaves crunched underfoot like brittle promises, and the air carried that crisp bite that made you feel alive, or at least pretended to. I'd driven up from Cleveland 2 days ago, my beat-up Honda Civic groaning under the weight of dorm room essentials, threadbare quilts from my mom's attic, a stack of dog-eared sci-fi novels, and that one photo of my high school debate team, where I looked like the awkward sidekick everyone forgot. Easton was my escape hatch from the cookie-cutter life back home. Dad's auto shop grease under every nail, Mom's quiet sighs over PDA meetings, and the unspoken rule that boys like me didn't dream bigger than community college. But here, amid the ivy-cloaked buildings and the hum of ambition, I was Alex Rivera, 18 and unscripted. The gym pulsed with EDM remixes of pop anthems, strobe lights slicing through the haze of dry ice and teenage bravado. Bodies writhed on the makeshift dance floor, a cleared-out basketball court ringed by folding tables laden with pizza boxes and energy drinks. Frat bros in backward caps hollered encouragements. Sorority pledges snapped selfies with filters that turned their smiles into rainbows. And somewhere in the corner, a DJ with neon green hair manned the decks like a mad scientist. I nursed my cup of flat punch, the kind that tasted like regret mixed with fruit flavoring, and scanned the room for my roommate, Jake. He'd vanished 10 minutes ago, last seen grinding against a girl in fishnets who looked like she could bench press him. That's when the dance battle ignited. It started innocently enough, a couple of upperclassmen freestyling to show off, their moves sharp as switchblades. Pops, locks, waves that rippled through the air like heat off asphalt. The circle widened, phones hoisted high to capture the glory for Instagram stories that would rack up likes by dawn. Laughter bubbled up, infectious, pulling in stragglers until the energy crackled like a live wire. And then he stepped in. Daniel. I didn't know his name yet, but God, he owned that circle from the first beat. Tall, maybe 6'1", with skin like polished walnut and hair cropped close on the sides, exploding into tight black curls on top. He wore a faded Wu-Tang tee that clung to his chest just enough to hint at the ridges beneath, baggy cargo pants slung low on his hips, and high tops that squeaked against the polished floor as he dropped into a power move, a helicopter spin that had the crowd gasping. His smile was a weapon, wide, white, and utterly disarming, like he knew exactly how it could unravel you. He was Brooklyn-born. I learned later, transplanted to Easton's Urban Studies program on a scholarship that paid for his books and his dreams, but in that moment, he was pure motion, a storm of rhythm and defiance. Our eyes met as he rose from a freeze, his chest heaving, sweat beading on his collarbone. The music shifted to something slower, sultrier, a trap remix of an old R&B track, and the circle's gaze swung to me, the interloper clutching his cup like a lifeline. Jake reappeared then, slinging an arm around my shoulders, his breath hot with cheap beer. "Your turn, Rivera. Don't embarrass Ohio." The chant swelled. "Fresh meat, fresh meat." Heat flooded my face, but beneath it, a reckless spark ignited. Back home, I'd spent summers in the garage, blasting playlists while Dad tinkered with engines, mimicking moves from YouTube tutorials just to kill time. It wasn't skill, it was survival. Mimicry. But tonight, under those lights, felt like something more. I set down the cup and shrugged off my hoodie, the cool air kissing my skin. The beat dropped, heavy and insistent, and I let it pull me under. No grand entrance, just a simple two-step into a shoulder roll, my arms slicing the air like I was parting fog. The crowd murmured, surprised, and I built on it. A hesitant pop of my chest, then a glide that carried me closer to the circle's edge. Daniel watched, head tilted, that smirk deepening into something curious, almost hungry. Emboldened, I mirrored his earlier wave, letting it cascade from fingertips to toes, my body loosening like a knot finally giving way. It wasn't perfect. My foot caught once, nearly tripping me, but the cheers carried me through, a buoyancy I'd never felt before. He jumped back in seamlessly, our bodies syncing without a word, him dipping low into a tut, me echoing with a hesitant arm wave that somehow matched his flow. The space between us shrank, the air thickening with shared breath and the scent of his cologne. Something woody, like cedar and mischief. We traded moves like secrets, the battle blurring into collaboration, until the song faded and the DJ yelled, "That's how you welcome him, Easton." Applause thundered, but all I heard was my pulse, hammering in time with the phantom beat. Daniel closed the gap as the circle dissolved, clapping a hand on my shoulder, firm, warm, lingering just a beat too long. "Not bad for a Buckeye. Name's Daniel. You got moves hidden under that flannel." "Ha!" His voice was velvet over gravel, laced with that New York clip that made every word sound like an invitation. "Alex," I managed, my throat dry despite the punch. "Just winging it." He laughed, low and genuine, revealing a dimple I hadn't noticed. "Winging it got you this." He nodded toward a cluster of girls snapping pics of us, their phones glowing like fireflies. "Stick around after. Bonfire out back. We can talk real rhythm." I nodded, words failing, as he melted back into the crowd. Jake punched my arm. "Dude, you just eye-fucked the king of the floor. Welcome to college." But it wasn't lust, not yet. It was recognition. Like I'd stumbled into a mirror that showed a version of me bolder, freer. That night, as stars pricked the Adirondack sky and flames licked the edges of a pit dug in the quadgrass, Daniel and I talked. About everything and nothing. His mom's bodega in Bed-Stuy, the way hip-hop saved him from juvie dreams. My dad's war stories from Nam, retold over oil changes. The ache of leaving home, that hollow space where family should fit but doesn't quite. He passed me a s'more, our fingers brushing, and in the firelight, his eyes held mine, dark, searching, like he saw the cracks I hid from everyone. By midnight, the party's embers had cooled, but something in me burned brighter. Little did I know, Matthew was watching from the shadows, my supposed ally in this new world, his smile tight as a noose. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of their own. Syllabi stacks on my desk, late-night ramen in the dorm lounge, and stolen glances across lecture halls. Daniel was everywhere, lit class, where he'd quote Baldwin with a fire that made the prof sweat. The student union, spinning tracks on his portable speaker that turned study breaks into impromptu ciphers. We fell into orbit, easy as breathing. Coffee runs to the overpriced cart by the library, where he'd tease me about my black no-sugar order. Boring. Rivera. Live a little, try the chaos latte. Walks along the leaf-choked paths to the edge of campus, where the Hudson River whispered secrets to the wind. He was out, unapologetically, rainbow pins on his backpack. Stories of pride parades that painted him as fearless. Me? I was a question mark. Raised in a house where "that's gay" was punchline, not identity. But with him, labels felt small, irrelevant. One crisp October afternoon, under a canopy of turning maples, he stopped mid-stride, turning to me with that half-smile. "You know, Alex, you're the first straight boy who's ever kept up with me." On the floor and off, my stomach flipped. "Who says I'm straight?" His laugh was a spark. "Fair. Labels are for jars, not us." And then he leaned in, testing, his lips brushing my cheek, soft, fleeting, like a promise. I didn't pull away. Instead, I chased it, our mouths meeting in a clumsy, heated clash that tasted like possibility. His hands framed my face, thumbs tracing my jaw, and for the first time, the world narrowed to the press of his body, the hitch in his breath that mirrored mine. Matthew entered the picture like a shadow at noon, subtle, then inescapable. My TA in intro psych, a junior with tousled blonde hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and a southern drawl that charmed like honeyed whiskey. We'd bonded early. Him spotting me in the hall, fumbling with a textbook, and offering to quiz me over wings at the campus dive. "Call me Matt," he'd said, sliding into the booth opposite me, his knee bumping mine under the table. "We're all just trying not to drown here." He was the buffer, the straight-lace guide to Easton's underbelly. Study groups that devolved into beer pong, insider tips on dodging the housing lottery. Safe. Familiar. But as Daniel and I deepened late-night drives to the drive-in in his rattling Jeep, where we'd make out under the stars until fogged windows hid our blushes, Matthew's eyes lingered. A beat too long on Daniel during group hangs, a forced laugh at our inside jokes. I chalked it up to bro-code awkwardness, the way he'd clap my back and say, "Proud of you, man." Taking risks. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine, slicing the semester in half. I headed home, the Midwest swallowing me whole. Turkey dry as regret, Dad's grunts over football, Mom's probing questions about that nice roommate. Daniel texted nonstop, memes of dancing turkeys, voice notes husky with missing me. "Hurry back, Buckeye. Campus is too quiet without your two left feet charm." Matthew. 2. Checked in. "Don't let the folks turn you into a pumpkin pie clone. Save some rebellion for finals." Returning felt like resurfacing. Snow dusted the quad, turning Easton into a postcard of muffled magic. Daniel met me at the train station, bundled in a beanie that made his curls peak like secrets, pulling me into a hug that thawed every chill. We tumbled back to his off-campus apartment, a cramped walk-up above a laundromat, smelling of incense and instant noodles, where he cooked spaghetti with Jared sauce, feeding me bites between kisses that grew urgent, exploratory. His hands mapped my skin like uncharted territory, peeling away layers until we were bare, tangled in sheets that smelled of him. It was messy, fervent, my first time, his patience a gift, and when we shattered together, it wasn't just release. It was revelation. "You're mine now, Alex," he murmured after, tracing lazy circles on my chest. No takebacks. I believed him. Utterly. But betrayal brews in the quiet hours. A week later, buried in a stack of psych papers, I found it. A crumpled note in Matthew's bag, left behind after our study session. "Daniel, last night was everything. Don't tell Alex. He wouldn't get it." My blood turned to ice, the words blurring as nausea clawed my throat. Flashes, their accidental run-ins at the gym, Matthew's flushed cheeks after late office hours, the pieces slotted cruelly. My best friend, the one who'd held my hand through coming out whispers, stealing what I'd only just claimed. I confronted him in the empty TA lounge, snow tapping the window like accusatory fingers. "How long, Matt?" He froze, papers scattering. "Alex, it's not. Save it." My voice cracked. Was it pity? Me fumbling into this. "So you swoop in on the real thing." His eyes welled, but anger flashed first. "You don't get it. Daniel's always been magnetic. And you're playing house. Alex, this isn't you." The slap of those words stung worse than any fist. I stormed out, the cold biting deep, straight to Daniel's door. He pulled me inside, sensing the fracture, holding me as sobs racked my frame. "He took something from us," I choked. Daniel's jaw tightened, but his touch stayed gentle. "We'll fix it. Together." Lies. As it turned out, the real storm was just cresting. Winter clamped down on Easton like a vice, turning the campus into a monochrome dreamscape where breaths hung in the air like ghosts. Lecture halls echoed with coughs and the scratch of pens on frost-rimed windows. But for me, the chill seeped deeper, a frostbite of the soul that no heater could touch. Matthew's betrayal lingered like a bad hangover, headaches in ethics class when he'd avoid my gaze, a sour twist in my gut at the sight of his car parked outside Daniel's building. I ghosted him, deleted his number, but Easton was small, his paths converging like veins. We'd pass in the dining hall, him with his tray of sad salad, me pretending not to notice the hollows under his eyes. Daniel was my anchor, fierce and unwavering. He'd amp up our routines to drown the noise. Sunrise jogs along the river, where the water ran slate gray and we'd race until lungs burned, collapsing in laughter on the frozen bank. Movie marathons in his apartment, burrowing under blankets with takeout tie, his head on my lap as I carded fingers through his curls. "You're tougher than you think, Buckeye," he'd say, kissing the scar on my knuckle from a childhood bike crash. "This city's full of wolves, but you're the one who bites back." Sex became our language, raw and reparative. In the dim glow of his string lights, he'd guide me with whispers, here, like this, until hesitation melted into hunger. His body was a map of stories, a faded tattoo of a phoenix on his ribs, inked after his first breakup, stretch marks like lightning on his hips from a growth spurt in foster care. I traced them with lips and tongue, learning him as he learned me, our rhythms sinking deeper than any dance floor. Afterward, tangled and spent, he'd talk dreams, opening a community center in Brooklyn, teaching kids to move through pain, to find power in their steps. "You in?" he'd ask, half joking. "Always," I'd reply, meaning it. But cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Matthew didn't vanish, he simmered. Whispers rippled through the grapevine. Him cornering Daniel after a workshop, voice low and pleading. Late-night texts I glimpsed on Daniel's phone, deleted but not before I saw the "I'm sorry" preview. Daniel brushed it off. "Guy's hurting. Doesn't mean shit to us." Yet doubt gnawed. A quiet erosion. Was it really nothing? Or was I the placeholder, the safe harbor while he navigated the storm I'd unwittingly unleashed? Midterms hit like a freight train, burying us in all-nighters fueled by vending machine coffee and mutual desperation. We holed up in the library's basement carols, a warren of fluorescent hum and forgotten theses. One night, as equations blurred on my calc notebook, Daniel slumped across from me, head in hands. "This load's killing me, Alex. Scholarships on thin ice if I tank." I reached for his foot under the table, hooking our ankles. "We'll grind it out. Team. Remember," he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah. Team." That's when Matthew appeared, a specter in khakis and a cable-knit sweater, carrying a stack of review sheets like peace offerings. "Heard you two were down here. Thought these might help." His voice was even, but his gaze flicked to Daniel, too soft, too loaded. Daniel straightened, tension coiling. "Appreciate it, Matt. But we're good." Matthew hesitated, then slid the papers across. "For Alex, then. He's the one drowning in derivatives." Our eyes met, a battlefield. His pleading forgiveness, mine armored in ice. "Thanks," I muttered, snatching them without a glance. He lingered, shifting weight. "Can we talk? Just us?" 5 minutes. The air thickened, the hum of the vents mocking us. Daniel's jaw ticked. "Not now, man." Matthew's laugh was brittle. "Always the night. Huh? Protecting your prince." The words hung, barbed, and he walked out, shoulders slumped like a man carrying ghosts. Daniel exhaled sharply. "Ignore him. He's projecting his mess." But the seed was planted. That night, in bed, as his kisses turned frantic, I wondered, was this passion or deflection? Spring thaw came slow, mud sucking at boots on the quad paths, birdsong warring with the rumble of leaf blowers. Easton bloomed tentative, crocuses pushing through snowmelt, the air sweet with thaw. Daniel and I planned our first real getaway, a weekend in the Catskills, his Jeep loaded with cooler and tent. Escape from midterms wreckage. "Just us," he said, tossing me the AUX cord. No Matthews, no drama. The drive was therapy, windows down, wind whipping our hair. His playlist a mosaic of old-school hip-hop and indie soul. We hiked trails slick with runoff, hands clasped over roots and rocks, pausing at overlooks where valleys unspooled like green tapestries. At a waterfall's base, mist-kissed and roaring, he pulled me close, water sheeting our clothes. "Marry me someday," he murmured against my neck, half laugh, half vow. "When we're old and creaky, yelling at clouds." I laughed, heart swelling. "Deal. But I get veto on the clouds." The tent that night was our cocoon. Stars wheeling overhead, his body a furnace against mine. We made love slow, deliberate, fingers interlaced, breaths mingling, until climax crested like the falls, leaving us adrift in afterglow. "I love you," he said, the words slipping out unbidden. I froze, then melted. "Love you too, Danny." It was truth, bone deep. But love's a fragile thing in fragile hands. Back on campus, the idol shattered. I found the email on a shared drive. Meant for Daniel. Misfiled in Psych Resources. Subject, "Can't stop thinking." From Matthew. "Last week's coffee was a mistake, but it didn't feel like one. You're pulling away, and it kills me. Alex is great, but he's not us. Meet the usual spot." The usual spot. Rage boiled, hot and blinding. I didn't confront Daniel, not yet. Instead, I tailed him after class, hard a war drum, to the off-campus cafe with its steamed windows and chalkboard specials. There he was, at a corner booth, Matthew across from him, hands gesturing, faces inches apart. Laughter, Daniel's, bright and unguarded, cut me like shrapnel. I burst in, chair scraping as I loomed. "What the fuck is this?" Daniel startled, color draining. "Alex, it's not." Matthew stood, placating. "We were just talking. Clearing air." "Bullshit." I snatched the phone from the table, scrolling the thread, flirty emojis. "Miss your smile." A photo of them at some bar, arms slung casual. Clearing air? Or reigniting the fire you lit behind my back? Daniel rose, reaching. "Babe, listen. Don't." The endearment twisted like a knife. I backed away, the cafe's chatter fading to a buzz. "You said no takebacks. But here you are, taking everything." I fled into the rain-slick streets, sobs choking me as I ran. Betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the echo, the way it hollowed you out. He found me hours later, curled on my dorm bed, Jake tactfully absent. "Alex, please." Rain dripped from his jacket, pooling on the floor. It was one coffee. Stupid. Yeah. But nothing happened. I swear. Lies. I sat up, eyes burning. "You laughed with him. Like you used to with me." His face crumpled. "I'm scared." "Okay. This us, it's real. Deeper than anything. And Matt. He's easy. Familiar. But he's not you." The admission hung, a confession laced with poison. "So I'm the hard choice? The one you fight for?" "Yes." He knelt, hands on my knees. "Fight with me. Don't let him win." I wanted to believe. God, I did. But trust, once cracked, leaks light and shadows. Summer's promise teased Easton's edges, dandelions seeding the lawns, the river glittering like fool's gold under sun. But for me, it was a season of fractures. Classes dragged, each lecture a minefield of sidelong glances. Daniel's desperate notes slipped into my locker, Matthew's absence a vacuum that sucked the air from group projects. I threw myself into distractions, volleyball pickup games on the intramural courts, where spikes and dives numbed the ache, shifts at the campus bookstore, shelving tomes on queer theory that mocked my unraveling. Jake became confidant, his blunt Ohio wisdom a balm. Dump the drama? Man, life's too short for second-guessing. But dumping wasn't clean. Daniel cornered me after a rain-soaked practice, jersey clinging, eyes storm-dark. We need to hash this. Tonight. My place. I went, against every instinct. The walk across campus a gauntlet of memories. That bench where we'd first kissed. The lamppost we'd leaned against. Whispering futures. His apartment smelled of curry takeout and regret. The air thick with unsaid. We sat on the couch, once our throne, knees not touching. Talk, I said, arms crossed. He exhaled, running hands over his fade. Matt's been pushing since day one. Flirty bullshit, testing waters. I shut it down every time. That coffee, me telling him to back off for good. And the texts, the photo, stupid slips. I deleted them. But yeah, I fucked up not telling you. His voice broke. I'm not perfect, Alex. Grew up bouncing homes, learning to charm my way out of messes. Habit dies hard. I swallowed, throat tight. And me? Am I another charm? His eyes flashed hurt. No. You're the real. The one that scares me shitless because I could lose you. He scooted closer, tentative. Forgive me? We rebuild stronger. The plea tugged. That magnetic pull. I nodded, wary, and he pulled me into his lap, kisses soft as apologies. We made love there, on the couch slow, redemptive, his hands worshipping, my body yielding despite the whisper of doubt. I choose you, he breathed, sealing it. Rebuilding was tentative architecture, date nights at the drive-in, where we'd share popcorn and plot post-grad adventures, him in community arts, me in environmental policy, a life stitched from our dreams. We even looped in therapy, campus counseling, awkward at first, but cathartic. Communication's the glue, the counselor droned, and we glued, layer by sticky layer. Matthew faded to periphery, transferring credits to a semester abroad in the fall. His goodbye a stiff email, wishing you both the best. Sorry for the wreckage. Relief washed me, but scars itched, a reminder that trust was tissue, thin and tearable. Yet summer deepened us. We road-tripped to Niagara Falls, the mist a veil for stolen touches in the crowds, camped in the Finger Lakes, stars a canopy for confessions. One night, fireflies winking like Morse code, Daniel pulled a small box from his pack, a key, etched with a tiny phoenix. To the apartment. Move in next year. My yes was a sob, joy-laced. Hell yes. Fall semester roared in with crimson leaves and crisp air, Easton thrumming like a hive. Cohabitation loomed as our next frontier. But first, hurdles. Daniel's internship crunch at a Harlem nonprofit. Shadowing dance programs for at-risk youth. My honors thesis on urban green spaces, buried in GIS maps till dawn. Stress simmered, manifesting in small fissures, snapped words over forgotten dishes, silences heavy as fog. Then the call came, shattering the fragile pane. It was a Thursday, rain lashing the windows as I hunched over my laptop in the Union. Daniel's ringtone, some old-school track, cut through the din. His voice, when I answered, was a wire, taut, trembling. Alex. Hospital. Mom. Accident. The world tilted. His mom, Lila, the bodega queen who'd FaceTimed me recipes for jerk chicken. Her laugh a melody, bedbound in Brooklyn after a car sideswipe. Shattered pelvis, internal bleeding. She's asking for you, he choked. Can you? I was in the Jeep before he finished, rain blurring the highway as we barreled south. The city swallowed us. Honks and neon, the pulse of lives indifferent to our panic. At the ICU, beeps and bleach assaulted, Lila pale against starched sheets, tubes a cruel lattice. Daniel collapsed into a chair, her hand in his, murmuring endearments in Spanish-laced English. I stood sentinel, rubbing his back, but inside, terror gnawed. What if she didn't pull through? What would it unmake in him? She stabilized. Miracle of miracles, surgery knitting bones, fevers breaking like dawn. We camped in her room, shifts of sleep on vinyl chairs, trading stories to keep vigil. Lila, groggy but grinning, squeezed my hand. You my boy's keeper. Mijo, good. He needs that fire. Daniel's gratitude was fierce. A proposal, whispered in the hospital garden. Rain pattering on umbrellas. Not rings too soon but commitment, etched in words. Partners. For the falls, the floods, I accepted, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of salt and steel. But fate's a fickle choreographer. Discharged. Lila needed rehab weeks in a Queens facility, Daniel commuting like a man possessed. Distance stretched us thin, calls clipped by exhaustion, visits squeezed between his shifts and my deadlines. Loneliness crept, a thief in the night, and that's when Matthew resurfaced, not as specter, but siren. He'd returned early from abroad, personal reasons, and bumped into me at the bookstore, all contrite smiles and "How've you been?" Over lattes, his treat, I spilled, the dam breaking. His listening was a lifeline, nods, no judgments, that drawl wrapping empathy like flannel. Sounds heavy. Daniel's lucky to have you weathering it. One coffee turned to two. Then study sessions in neutral territory, the library cafe, away from ghosts. He was platonic, boundaries ironclad, talk of classes, his linguistics minor, the absurdity of Foucault. Safe harbor. Until it wasn't. The night before finals, snow blanketing the quad in hush, he walked me back to the dorms. Wind whipped, cheeks flushed. He stopped under a street lamp's glow. Alex, I know I blew it, but seeing you now, stronger, realer. It hurts, but I'm glad. Our breath mingled, clouds in the cold. Impulse, stupid, seismic, pulled me forward, lips brushing his in a ghost of a kiss. He froze, then responded, soft and sorry, before we sprang apart like scorched wires. Fuck, I gasped. That was a mistake. His eyes glistened. Go. To him, I fled, shame a lash, bursting into Daniel's apartment to confess. He listened, face unreadable, then pulled me close. We all slip. But you're here. That's what counts. Forgiveness, again. But the weight pressed heavier, a prelude to the crescendo. Climax brewed in the spring formal, a black tie gala in the student center, all chandeliers and champagne flutes, Easton's elite swirling in finery. Daniel, dapper in a borrowed tux, twirled me on the floor, our laughter a defiance. Matthew was there, date on his arm, a poli-sci major with sharp wit, but his gaze tracked us, a shadow at the edge. Mid-waltz, disaster struck. Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced, paling. Lila's readmitted. Infection. I gotta go. Alone. I nursed a drink in the alcove, The band's swing drowning my worry. Matthew appeared, glass in hand. You okay? Tell me I'm not cursed, I joked. Brittle. He sat close, too close. You're human. That's not a curse. His hand covered mine, thumb stroking. Comfort, I told myself. But when he leaned, lips parting, I didn't pull away. The kiss deepened, urgent, his fingers in my hair, a betrayal born of fracture, not flame. Daniel walked in then, keying into the side door for his jacket. Time fractured. His eyes on us, widening in shock, then narrowing to flint. Alex, I wrenched free, Matthew stumbling back. Danny, wait, but he was gone, door slamming like judgment. The chase through rain-slick streets, formal where sodden, led to his Jeep, engine roaring to life as I pounded the window. Let me explain. He didn't. Just drove, vanishing into the night, leaving me drenched in regret's downpour. The fallout was apocalypse in miniature. Texts unanswered, calls to voicemails void, Daniel a ghost haunting Easton's halls. I tracked him to the dance studio, a converted warehouse on the edge of town, mirrors fogged with exertion, bass thumping from battered speakers. He moved like exorcism, body a blur of fury and grace, sweat flying as he drilled routines alone. I waited outside, rain pooling at my feet, until he emerged, towel-draped, eyes hollow. Danny, please. My voice cracked, a beggar's plea. He stopped, breath ragged. What do you want? Alex, absolution, I gave you that last time. Look where it got us. It was nothing. A moment of weakness. Lila, the stress. He laughed, bitter. That's your out? Mine was too, with Matt. Funny how excuses circle. He stepped closer, pain etching lines on his face. I fought for us. Drove through blizzards, held you through nightmares. And you kissed the one who broke us first. Tears mixed with rain on my cheeks. I hate myself for it. But I love you. That doesn't vanish. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb brushing my lip, tender, torturous. Love's not enough if it's not chosen every damn day. Then he walked away, leaving silence thicker than fog. Matthew tried bridge building, cornering me in the psych lab. It was mutual. Don't put it all on me. Fuck off, I snarled, slamming a cabinet. You knew. Preyed on the cracks. He deflated, glasses fogging. I thought. Maybe you felt it too. The what-ifs. You're poison, I said. Low. Stay away. Isolation wrapped me like barbed wire. Jake staged interventions, beers at the pub. Tough love pep talks, but grief festered. Finals loomed. A cruel joke. Essays on resilience while mine crumbled. I aced them anyway, autopilot through the haze, but graduation's cap and gown pomp felt like farce. Daniel walked the stage alone, our names called separate, the gulf between us a chasm. Summer fractured further. Lila rallied, stubborn as her son, but Daniel vanished to Brooklyn. Internship extended, space his euphemism for severance. I sublet an off-campus room, temping at a green energy startup in Albany, days blurring into spreadsheets and solitude. Letters arrived, handwritten on bodega notepaper, miss your laugh. Saw a buckeye tree, thought of you. I burned them, ashes a ritual of release, but embers lingered in my chest. Re-entry came in August. Senior year a reluctant dawn. Easton shimmered unchanged, quad alive with freshman orientations. Echoes of our own bash, but I was altered. Palimpsest of scars. I dove into thesis fieldwork. Urban farms in the city's forgotten lots. Hands in soil that grounded me. There, amid tomatoes and turnips, I found fragments of peace, conversations with grizzled gardeners, stories of regrowth after floods. Daniel reappeared like a season's turn. A chance encounter at the farmer's market, him haggling over heirloom peppers, me sampling honey. Time stuttered, we stood, baskets dangling, words damned. "Hey," he said, soft. "Hey," my heart thundered. He shifted, curls longer now, wild. "Heard about your project." Sounds. "You," we talked, halting, then flowing. Lila's progress, his non-profit pilot in Bed-Stuy, my dirt-stained epiphanies. No accusations, just presence. "Coffee," he ventured. One became habitual. Saturdays at the cart, steam rising between us. Reconnection was cautious choreography, brushing hands accidental at first, then deliberate, laughs tentative, building to belly deep. He shared vulnerabilities, therapy breakthroughs, the fear that love made him weak. I confessed mine. The kiss as panic, not passion, the void without him. One evening, as leaves goldened, he invited me to a showcase, his kid's debut at the studio. The warehouse pulsed with pride. Tiny bodies in sync, faces alight with discovery. Daniel emceed, voice booming encouragement, and when a shy boy nailed a solo, tears tracked his cheeks. Backstage, amid hugs and high fives, he pulled me aside. "This is why I fight. For them. For us. If," I kissed him then, fierce under the fluorescence, claiming, reclaiming. "If nothing. I'm all in." Fall deepened our recommitment. Move into the apartment. Boxes a mosaic of ours. His vinyls beside my novels. Shared closet a tangle of tees and hoodies. Intimacy reignited. Seasoned now with honesty. Pillow talk on boundaries. Jealousies aired like laundry. Matthew was a non-issue. Graduated. Vanished to grad school in Boston. A footnote faded. But life tests restorations. Winter brought Lila's decline. Not accident's echo, but cancer, insidious, unearthed in scans. Stage 3. Pancreatic. The thief that steals quietly. Daniel shattered. Nights pacing. Fists clenched. Days a mask of stoicism for the kids. I held him through it, drives to chemo, where we'd wait in vinyl chairs. Her hand in ours. Home-cooked meals that went uneaten. My arms his harbor. "You're my rock," he whispered one blizzard night. Snow muffling the world. "Don't know how I'd." "You wouldn't have to," I said, kissing his temple. "We're the team. Remember." Yet cracks reemerged. My impatience fraying when he'd snap. His withdrawal when grief choked words. Arguments flared. Over cancelled dates. My fix-it mode clashing his need for space. "You can't solve this," he yelled once, voice echoing off kitchen tiles. "And you can't shut me out," I fired back, slamming the door. Reconciliations were raw. Apologies over cold pizza. Sex a bridge of bodies when words failed. But the specter loomed. Lila's treatments failing. Her bodega sold to cover bills. Daniel's scholarship strained by travel. Spring brought the ultimatum, hospice. Her choice, in the brownstone she'd raised him in. We drove down, the city a blur of steel and sorrow. She was frail but fierce, propped on pillows, I still sparkling. "Me, Joe," she rasped, pulling us close. "Love hard. That's the beat that lasts." She slipped away a week later, dawn painting the room rose. Daniel's wail echoed through the house, mine joining, a duet of devastation. The funeral was Brooklyn raw, block party turned vigil. Hip-hop eulogies, neighbors toasting her fire. Daniel spoke, voice steady. She taught me rhythm, in steps, in heart. I'll carry it. Grief reshaped us, a forge of fire. Back at Easton, he channeled it into the center, fundraisers, grants, a mural of Lila's smile on the studio wall. I finished my thesis, dedicated to her, for roots that regrow. Yet doubt whispered, could we endure, or was loss the final fracture? Climax crested in June, graduation's eve. Daniel proposed not on knee, but rooftop, city lights a constellation below. A simple band, silver phoenix etched, "Marry me, Alex." Not tomorrow, but when we're ready. Partners in the mess, tears blurred the skyline. Yes, forever yes, but forever's a promise tested. That night, packing the apartment, I found the box, tucked in his drawer, unopened, letters from Matthew, post Boston. Still love you. Always will. Dozens, unanswered, but kept. Why? Confrontation brewed as we loaded the Jeep for the post-grad road trip, cross-country, chasing horizons. Why keep them? I demanded, waving the stack. He paled, hands on wheel. Reminders of what I chose against. You, lies, hurt surged. Or trophies, proof you're desired. The drive turned battlefield. Miles of silence, accusations flying like gravel. At a roadside diner in Pennsylvania, it erupted. I ended it clean, he roared. But yeah, part of me wondered, what if you'd never happened? Selfish shit. I know, I recoiled. So I'm the consolation? No. He grabbed my hand, desperate. You're the revelation. The one that rewrote me. We sat, exhaust fumes mingling with regret, until truth surfaced. Keeping them was fear of forgetting the pain, lest it repeat. Burn them, I said. With me, we did, in a gas station lot, flames devouring words under stars. Ashes scattered, a ritual of release. The road trip west was redemption's ribbon, interstates unspooling like veins, carrying us from Easton's ivy to the Rockies' raw spine. We drove in shifts, Daniel's hip-hop yielding to my indie folk, windows down to swallow wind and wonder. Stops were sacraments, Grand Canyon sunrises, where we stood hand-in-clasped, vastness humbling our small hurts. Vegas neon, a night of reckless slots and slow dances in dive bars. Pacific Coast Highway, waves crashing like applause as we vowed anew. Back east, life unfolded deliberate. Daniel's center thrived, Brooklyn grant funded. Kids blooming under his wing. Lila's legacy in every step. I landed a gig with a Syracuse nonprofit, mapping urban oases. Our apartments converging into a shared brownstone walk-up. Creaky floors, window boxes of basil, a bed that cradled our mornings. Love matured, less wildfire, more hearth, arguments shorter, intimacies deeper, touches that spoke volumes. Matthew surfaced once. A LinkedIn ping. Congrats on the promo. Happy for you both. Daniel showed me, eyebrow arched. Ghost from Christmas past? Block and forget, I said. We did. The click a closure. Years layered like sediment. Weddings are small. Rooftop in bed stewy. Vows exchanged over skyline. Jake best man with a toast that roasted us tender. Careers crested. Daniel's TEDx on dance as healing. Viral and vital. My book on resilient cities. Forward by a senator. We mentored him with youth crews. Me with green thumb apprentices. Passing torches forged in our fires. Betrayals faded to lore. Cautionary tales in therapy check-ins. Growth isn't linear, our counselor said, and we nodded, scarred but steady. Children came late, adopted twins, a boy and girl from the system, curls like Daniel's, curiosity like mine. Parenting was chaos and grace. Bedtime stories blending hip-hop lore and eco-fables. Family ciphers in the living room where steps taught more than words. One autumn, 20 years post-dance battle, we returned to Easton, alumni weekend, gray threading our temples, hands weathered but linked. The gym echoed with new freshmen, bass thumping familiar. We watched from the bleachers, twins wide-eyed at the circle. Remember, Daniel murmured, dimple flashing. Like yesterday, I leaned in, kissing him soft. Best unexpected I never saw coming. He grinned. That old spark. Still keeping up? Always. As the crowd chanted. A boy lean. Electric pointed to our twins, pulling them in. Laughter bubbled. Our kids stepping tentative, then bold. Daniel's arm tightened around me, head on my shoulder. We did good. Buckeye, we had. In the mess of conflicts and crescendos, betrayals and rebuilds, we'd choreographed a life. Dramatic in its depths, emotional in its swells, romantic in its rhythms, humanistic in its hope. America stretched around us, flawed, fierce, full of boys who never saw coming, but learned to dance anyway. And in that beat, eternal, we moved as one.